Welcome to another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Connor Moreno, lead writer for UCLA Bruins on SI. And yesterday's episode, we went ahead and previewed and kind of reviewed UCLA's run to Omaha and what it took for them to get there, and kind of a little preview of their matchup against Murray State, which you guys are going to be seeing the day that you're listening to this, which is Saturday. But today's episode, I wanted to tackle a little bit of news in regarding one of the baseball players, and then we're going to go ahead and look at the path that the Bruins are most likely going to have to take to making it back to the National Championship Series. Obviously, this is their first Omaha appearance in 12 years since 2013, which is when they won it all in 2013. And the Bruins are looking to make it back. So without further ado, let's get into some news about Rock Chalowski, a shortstop. He was, it seems like every day leading up to the World Series, he had another honor, had another award. Today, he was named the Brooks Wallace Award winner, which, they give that to the best shortstop in the nation. And this just is another tip in his cap, and another display in his trophy case, however you want to say it, of just a stellar sophomore season. He's Big Ten Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. He won the Brooks Wallace Award. He won the District 9 Player of the Year, the Perfect Game USA Player of the Year. He was a finalist for the Dick Hauser Trophy, which he lost to that stud in Florida State. Semifinalist for the Golden Spikes Award, and he got second-team All-American for the NCBWA, and then first-team All-American for the ABCA. Selection team. So yeah, just another incredible honor that he's getting for an incredible season, quite frankly, that he's had. So quickly, we'll get into some updates because today, which is Friday, the first two games of the College World Series were played, and we're going to go ahead and get into those results real quick. So the first game that was played was Coastal Carolina and Arizona. Coastal Carolina is number 13th, and they beat Arizona, so they're advancing to the bracket 1 winners bracket. They beat Arizona 7-4, and then the second game that was played was between number 8 Oregon State and Louisville. That one was a little bit of a closer game, but Oregon State, they got out of that, and they won 4-3 over the Cardinals. So that means that on Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, number 13 and number 8, Coastal Carolina and Oregon State are going to be matching up to see who makes it to the winners finals of that bracket. So whoever wins this is going to be one win away from making it to the national championship. That also means that on Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, Arizona and Louisville will be fighting for their College World Series lives. Whoever loses that one is out. Whoever wins is going to take on the loser of Coastal Carolina and Oregon State. That game will be on Tuesday. So all these games are pretty much a couple days apart, which is a pretty good structure. So that's going to be the structure of those. Both ranked teams won today, and so that means, or yesterday I should say, that means today on Saturday we have UCLA Murray State and Arkansas LSU. And let's just get into what the Bruins need to do if they want to make it to the national championship. So obviously Saturday at 11 a.m., which by the time you're listening to this, hopefully the game hasn't already happened. Hopefully you've listened to this podcast already. They're taking on Murray State. Murray State is making their first World Series appearance in program history. UCLA is making it sixth and its first since 2013. This is head coach John Savage's fourth appearance in his 21th season with the Bruins. And UCLA is 15th, the 15th seed. I'd say they have a pretty good chance of advancing to the next round. But you never know. There's Cinderella stories all the time, but the thing that I've been saying is that, they were kind of saying the same thing about UTSA. They took down Texas, number 2 ranked Texas, twice. And people were saying, hey, don't sleep on the Roadrunners. UCLA is having a good run, but UCLA handled them. Like they swept their way through regional, and they swept their way through the super regionals. And the Bruins are just looking like a really good baseball team going into this bracket play for the World Series. So anyways, what the Bruins need to do is they need to beat Murray State. They need to beat the Racers. And if they beat the Racers, they'll go ahead and play again on Sunday. Is that Sunday? Monday. They'll play again on Monday. Sorry about that. Yeah, they'll play again on Monday. And then the other game in the bracket, which if you're looking at it on paper, this is the tougher bracket of the two. You have number 6 LSU taking on number 3 Arkansas. So that means that if UCLA wants to make it to the national championship, they're going to have to take on one of these teams at least one time, at least once. So let's go through a little scenario real quick. UCLA, they beat Murray State. They advanced to the winners semifinals of this bracket. And let's just go ahead and say LSU upsets Arkansas. Not much of an upset. They're only 3 seeds difference, but let's say the Tigers upset the Razorbacks. That means UCLA is going to take on LSU on Monday. Now, UCLA can lose. Obviously, you don't want to lose, but UCLA can lose and make it back. But just as all these double elimination tournaments go, if you lose, it's just going to make your journey that much more difficult. So if UCLA loses, they advance to the losers finals, which will be played on Tuesday. It'll be played on Tuesday. And they'll take on the winner of the 2 losers of the first day. So they'll take on, in our scenario, the winner of Murray State and Arkansas. Let's just say Arkansas wins that game because they're going to be heavily favored. Let's just say Arkansas win that game. That means that the Bruins are going to take on their second top 6 ranked opponent, Arkansas, in that one. So if the Bruins want to make it, they have to beat Arkansas after losing to LSU in this little simulation. That means that not only are they going to be playing LSU again in the winners finals, they're going to have to beat them in 2 games. They're going to have to win 2 games. As always, the first team to win 3 games is going to advance to the national championship. So let's say UCLA beats Arkansas, because if they lose, they're out. They're going to go ahead and take on LSU on Wednesday, June 15th, or June 18th. Sorry. They're going to be taking LSU on June 18th. And they're going to have to beat them twice. So they're going to have to beat them on Wednesday and then again on Thursday, because it's a double elimination. And because in this situation, LSU wouldn't have lost a game yet. So what they have to do is they have to win 3 games before they lose 2. Now, UCLA has won their last 5. They swept their way through regionals. They beat Fresno State, Arizona State, UC Irvine, and then they swept UTSA in the Los Angeles Super Regional. And yeah, I'd say they have a pretty decent chance, and there's a little wrinkle in this. If you remember, UCLA played in the Big Ten Conference Tournament. And who hosted that? Nebraska. Nebraska hosted that. So UCLA has a weeks-long experience at Charles Schwab Field. And they played a week-long tournament there. They played 4 games. They won 3 games, and their 4th game was the championship against Nebraska, the host team. So they're not only were they playing in a championship game in Charles Schwab Field, they were playing against a hostile home crowd. So, and John Savage even said on Media Day, yeah, it's going to be an advantage because we know what it's like. We know what the atmosphere is like. Charles Schwab Field is a much bigger field than I'm pretty sure every other team has in this tournament. And UCLA is the only one that has experience. So, I mean, you can put as much into that as you may, but I would like to think it's a pretty good deal to have that experience, especially recently. They were there like a few weeks ago for the Big Ten championship. And UCLA, they're arguably in the tougher bracket. They arguably have the toughest path. I would say maybe the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th toughest path to the national championship. But the thing is that they have Coach John Savage. They have arguably the best player in college baseball. So they have some sort of championship pedigree. And let's just be honest, their offense has been humming. Their bullpen and some of their starting pitchers have been absolutely shoving. I mean, they haven't allowed a run in the last 16 innings. In the 5 games that they played in the postseason in the regionals, they outscored their opponents 50-16, which I think is incredible, especially considering that most of those runs came very early on in the game. So that's what the offense is priding themselves around. That's UCLA's path to a national championship. I think they certainly have a good chance. They just have to be dialed in, lean on that experience that they have in Omaha from a few weeks ago. And I mean, the sky's the limit, honestly. the sky's the limit. We've seen a ton of upsets in this tournament already, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are plenty more. So, yeah, thank you for listening to another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Connor Moreno. Thanks for watching, and we'll go ahead and see you tomorrow.